All right. Well, we have probably the biggest interview that we've gotten so far. Uh, Former Stanley Cup champion, uh, Memorial Cup champion, World Junior champion, 2004 second round, 32nd overall pick by the Chicago Blackhawks. David Bolland is on the show. David, how are you?
What's going on, guys? I'm good. How about you guys?
Oh, we are fantastic now.
Absolutely ecstatic.
That's
Absolutely
awesome.
pumped to have you on the show.
I'm glad to be on the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, everybody in Chicago knows how incredible of a career that you've had, especially with the Blackhawks. But I do want to start just a little bit earlier, getting a little taste of your junior career because you started with London Knights, and your final year, you potted a solid 130 points. Um, how was it adjusting from being the guy that was kind of the go-to guy on the London Knights to, an NHL team where you kind of had to figure out what your role was?
Yeah, it was a bit of a change. I was that go-to guy. I was on the power play and I was scoring goals and I was the main guy. And when I got to the NHL, I had to figure something else out and had to figure out how to stay up in the NHL. I played a year in the AHL and I put up some good points there, but there's a huge jump from junior to the AHL and then to the NHL. The first year in the AHL, I was still trying to find my way, and then, excuse me, and then the year after, once I got up there, I think it was Q that kind of put me in that third line role, and I was sick of riding the bus, and I'd rather be flying on planes and eating nice meals instead of eating bar food. So it's a huge adjustment from the AHL to the NHL, and I wanted to stay up in the NHL, and my role was soon to be that shutdown guy.
Well, you played one game in the 06-07 season with the Blackhawks, and that was the year before Kane, Taves, the whole group of you guys came in to kind of bring in this whole new style. Back then, the United Center was lucky to have 5,000 fans. And do you remember that one game? Do you remember that? I mean, it was your first NHL game, so I'm sure you do. But like the differences between United Center then versus what it is now.
Oh, there's a huge difference. I'm pretty sure there's, like you said, there was probably 5,000 people in the crowd, and it was dressed up like a seat night, how it used to be. But my first game was against the Vancouver Canucks, and I lined up for my first shift was against the Sedin twins and Marcus Nazareth. So it was a bit of a coincidence that I got lined up with them in my first NHL game. So it was crazy. It's just happy to see how the Blackhawks are now to when I got there, and I think it was 06 or 05, 07, around those years, and just how much it built and got better and better, and what John and Stan and Dale and a lot of guys, what they did for that organization is unbelievable.
I was gonna say, like, if that was your first game, that was like the Sedin's pretty much first taste of you pestering them like nonstop for like the entire time on the Hawks, huh?
That first game was a little different. I was trying to get my feet wet, and I was looking to try to score my first NHL goal. So it wasn't much. I wasn't really much on getting on the scenes yet, but later on, once I got that role and I had to shut down those top guys, I had to. That's what I had to do.
So you mentioned kind of Coach Q is what kind of like set that role for you. What was it like, being coached by one of probably arguably the greatest coaches in the NHL?
Yeah, Q's a great coach. He's a great man, manages the guys. He's a great guy coach. He was always there when we needed him, and he was great with everything. He's one of the best coaches I've played for. For guys to have him and to play for him, you're lucky to have him because he teaches you a lot about the game and off ice and a lot about everything. So I think Q's going to go down as a Hall of Fame coach, and he's one of the best coaches out there.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think we all kind of know from that 2010 year, just seeing how the videos of how relaxed you guys were through the playoffs against the Sharks and stuff. You guys are playing Wii and everything like that. I mean, what was it like going through that year in 2010, winning your first cup, seeing everybody raise the cup for the first time, and just how much fun you guys were having?
Yeah, I had lots of fun. It was crazy because you see the guys now. If you can imagine, if we could have kept that team, we probably would have had 4 or 5 straight cups in a row. But we had to lose Buff and Ladd and Versteeg and all those guys, and it kind of sucks with all that cap issues. But we had tons of fun. I just remember every time after we won a series, we'd all go out downtown in Chicago and have a few beers and enjoy the first round, and we'd have a good night and we'd be relaxed and get ready for the second round. So we had tons of fun that year, and just doing it in Chicago is one of the best cities.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are all, like we said, you guys all kind of came up together. I mean, you guys were all in early 20s, so I mean, I got to imagine it was a good time, especially in downtown Chicago for you guys.
Yeah, it was. We were still young and we were going out and having some fun, so it was a good time.
Well, after you guys had won the cup in 2010, 2011, like you were saying, was kind of a transition year because a lot of guys had gone, made the playoffs by the skin of your teeth, and you actually missed the first 3 games of that Vancouver series to where, the Hawks were down 3-0. And then you came back, and all of a sudden, 3 straight wins. I mean, I'm not saying it's not a coincidence or anything like that, but was there did you feel like a specific turn in the locker room when you kind of your presence was in there, or?
I know. I just remember coming back, and I think it was like the first shift I got out there, and I remember I'm pretty sure I hit someone pretty good, and the crowd started going crazy, and I think Dunks hit someone big, and I think after that, kind of the rotation, and I think everybody's like, geez, like, I think we got a chance here. We can take these guys. We beat them all the time. So there was a little bit there was a bit of a turning point there that we knew we could beat these guys. It was just getting that momentum, and we kind of had it there, and I kind of thought we did have them until that game 7, but it was just a great moment I think just for the fans, for us coming back and almost beating Vancouver.
I think that was like the first series where like you guys did come back from pretty much down 3-0. That kind of like solidified like any other series from then on. Whenever you guys were down 3-0, like everybody was like, "Don't count Chicago out because you just come back and fire on all cylinders." And like that happened against Detroit in like 2013, and then it almost happened again against LA in like 2014, which was like crazy stuff. It was like, just never count out the Chicago team. I'm pretty sure that series was the one that just kind of had everybody think about that.
No, for sure it was. Like we had great team. We had great guys in the room, and we had Taser as a great captain, and Dunks and Steves. Those are great assistant guys that help out as well. But we just had a great group of guys that came together and stuck up for each other. If someone was getting stuck, someone was coming in to help out and to pick up the slack. But we just had a great group of guys that were with us.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of like all those guys, like Taze and Kane and Keith and all those guys, I mean, what's it like in the locker room seeing how motivated those guys are and how ready they are every year and how bad they want it every year? I mean, what's it like just being around them?
Yeah, they're great athletes. We got Taser and Kane and Dunks and Siege and Crow, and they're all competitors. They're all winners, and they want to win. Once you get that taste of winning the cup one time, you want to win every year. You don't want to be last or second. You want to be first, and you want to take that cup home all the time. So those guys are competitors, and they're great teammates, and they'll go down in history in Chicago and probably the Hall of Fame as well.
I want to go back real quick. You just mentioned a bunch of different players there. I want to talk about Corey Crawford real quick. So I know you and him have kind of been together for a long, long time. Just talk about the turnaround for Crawford. I mean, he came in 2010, 2011, split time with Turco basically, and then just kind of took off from there. But he still hadn't won the city of Chicago over until that 2013 year when you guys had won the Cup. Was it one of those things where you had always known that it was in there, that it was in him, and that you knew that not having the fans on his side just yet was kind of the drive for him?
I think Crow was coming up to the minors, so we both came up through Norfolk and then Rockford, and I left, and then he stayed for a little bit longer. But Crow is a competitor, and he's a great goalie, and you can see how he is now. And some guys just take a little bit longer to get up there, and Crow did that. And look at him now; he's one of the best goalies in the league, and he's a competitor. He doesn't give up on pucks. He's always in there till the end. He's a great guy and a great goalie, and I think Chicago's lucky to have him.
So moving ahead a little bit to the 2013 season, that was just an absolute magical season. Start out with the lockout when you guys came on, and then just had that unbelievable run of just points every. What was that? And being like 25 games. Yeah. What was it like just being like? What was it like in the locker room and just around the team as that's going on? Do you guys was it known how special that was, or was it just kind of business as usual and then appreciate it later on?
Well, it's business as usual, but it was still a lockout. It was that lockout year, so that whole first half of the season that you're playing, you're kind of just skating and you're getting ready for the season, or you never know when the season's going to be, right? So you have to be ready, and we were coming in, and we knew we had to be ready for this season and for the playoffs. So it was a great season and a great finish to that 2013 year, because it was just great beating Boston. So
I mean, what really happened towards the end of that game? I don't know if you remember it or recall, but
I think I blanked and missed it. I don't know.
Yeah, I went by pretty quick there. Those 2 goals came quick.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get much better for you. I mean, everybody dreams of scoring that game-winning goal. I mean, what was it like for you, and why the yard sale? Why'd you toss everything?
Yeah, everybody asked, did you think the game was over? But the game wasn't over. I knew the game wasn't over. If you go back and look at the tape, you see who was it? Is it Boychuk or something like that?
Yeah, it was Boychuk. Yep.
So when Boychuk, he had his stick, and his stick came over my hands, and when he caught it, he was kind of caught my hands and didn't let go. So when I started pulling, I just pulled, and I just said, "Fuck it," just threw the gloves off, and
over.
And I knew, I was like, well, the game was over, so I just threw the gloves off of the stick and celebrated. I couldn't believe how quick those 2 goals came out with Bickle and myself scoring there. So it was just a quick moment, and Boychuk got my gloves caught, and I just let him go.
Well, were you surprised that Q had thrown your line out there with about a minute and I don't even know how many seconds left to go in a tie game? I mean, you guys are probably celebrating on the bench. Kane, Taves, Bickle, Keith, Seabrook, all these, top guys, top scoring guys are out on the ice. Were you surprised that Q had thrown your line out there to kind of finish out the game, or was it just, all right, let's go finish this?
No, normally, I think it was me, Krugs, and Pro. So our line was kind of normally the shutdown line, and I forget, I'm not even sure who was on the line, who was out there, who we were against. But normally we go out there to make sure that we'd shut the line down, or we had to keep the scoring down, or if it's the top line. But when Q threw us out there, we were ready to get out there, and hey, whatever happens, at least we go into OT or go back to before even the first goal by Bickle, we were kind of like, okay, well, we'll just go back to Chicago and we'll win the cup there, and because we won it away in Philly the first time, so the second time would be at home would be nice. But after we scored those 2 goals, we kind of thought, well, it's over now, so we'll just win it here in Boston.
Dave, I gotta thank you for that goal, by the way. back then I had accidentally forgotten like what day it was. I kind of mixed my days up, and I actually went on a Tinder date during the Cup final of Game 6, and everything was going crazy. And then you won the game, and just helped me seal the deal that night. It was absolutely fantastic. So I gotta thank you for that one.
So you got a goal and an assist on that
Congratulations.
one.
Is that when did you lose your virginity?
No, yeah. I mean before then, but
Oh, that's awesome. But speaking of like Frolik and Kruger, I mean, that line was unreal. You three together were so good. Like you said, you were so good at shutting down, and then you can go out and score a goal, no problem. I mean, what was it like playing with those guys? Did you guys just have unreal chemistry, or what was it?
No, it was, we were kind of flip-flopping. I know I came back from I think it was a groin injury in that Detroit game, so I was kind of up and down and wasn't in my role, and things were going up and down. So I know my groin was still a little bit tweaked, but I came back to play in I guess that Detroit series. But with playing with Krug and Frolik, it's kind of a safe line. You knew if something went wrong in our defensive end, I knew I could count on Fro and Kruger to be there for me, because they're great defensive guys, and they were also had a little bit of offensive skill to help out. So I think as a shutdown line, we were great, and I was just glad I was with those guys when I scored that game-winning goal.
So, obviously, I mean, both cups are absolutely amazing, but is there one that holds a little bit more? I mean, obviously the game-winning goal, it's got to be a big one, but does that beat the first one?
Well, they're both big. I think winning my first cup and then scoring the game-winning goal to win a cup, I think they're both huge. They're both big. I can't say one of them's better than the other, but I think they're both huge.
So let's ask this then. Follow up with that. Which one had the better day with the cup?
Same thing. I think they were both fun. The first day I had the cup, we had it here in Ontario, in London, Ontario, and then I took it to my hometown in Mimico, and we had a big parade and a big party, and we enjoyed the fun. And the second time, I kind of learned from my first cup and had a little bit more time to myself with it, with my parents and my family, and took it to the hospital to see some kids. So it was good. It was both times I had it. I got to utilize it and take it around to make sure people saw it and had a great time with it.
Any good stories about parties after the cup wins or anything like that you'd like to share?
Yeah, we had some good times. I think the one there was pretty sure it was the first cup. I think our ownership, our president, and I think GM said, don't take the cup don't take it to Wrigleyville, because it'll get a little crazy. And I think a few of us were like, well, we got to take it to Wrigleyville. It'd be awesome. So we were at the bleachers, the buildings across from Wrigley, and we took it up top there. Yeah, so we took it over there, and we had some fun with it. We were filling up with beer and tequila and drinking out of it. And I just remember everybody from the game was looking back on us, and they weren't watching the Cubs game. And then after that, the Cubs game was done, and we were partying up on there, and people came out on the street, and the street was so packed we had to get police escorts to come out and get us through the crowd. So there's lots of stories and fun times with that thing, and I just thought that we got to experience with the Chicago fans and take it out and around so all the Chicago fans can experience it as well.
So this is a question that I'm really curious, just because your role, you're great at just getting underneath all these players' skins and just push them to the point where they just get it's beyond frustrated. I'm really curious to see, wondering how you feel about the way Brad Marchand takes this role, because you guys do it two completely different ways. And I was just kind of more curious to see how you feel about his way of doing it.
Yeah, everybody plays their own role. I think his is more a little edgier. He gets a little more licking of the face and kissing guys and a few other things. But I think there's a lot of guys that play different roles, and I know how I played my role was playing hard and trying to get under guys' skins, but also to shut them down and make sure they didn't score on our net. But the way Marchand does it, hey, it's the way he does it, and he's a competitor as well, and he's a top line guy in the league. He's a scorer. He puts assists up. He does a little bit of everything. So guys have different ways of doing it, and he's doing a good job of it.
Would you have licked anyone's face?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
No.
Yeah. Well, after that win in 2013, kind of the same thing as it was in 2010. Blackhawks had to make some moves. Unfortunately, you were one of them. You made it up north to Toronto. What was that transition like, going from the Hawks to the Maple Leafs? Still an Original Six franchise, still, a crazy fan base, but definitely two organizations in different directions at the time.
Yeah, it was. I think it was. I think my time with the Hawks was coming to an end there, and with money and cap space, like always. So I was hoping to be a Hawk for life, but it's a business, and that's just the way hockey goes nowadays. So, but I was fortunate enough and thankful for Stan Bowman to send me to Toronto as my hometown and where I grew up, and where I was a Leaf fan when I was a kid. So I got to fulfill my dream of playing for my hometown and playing for the Leafs. And the difference, there's kind of no difference there. Two Original Six teams, two ownerships that take care of their players and will do anything to help their team win. So there's nothing as different as that. But I know there was different transitions through that the Hawks were already Stanley Cup, and the Leafs are building to be a Stanley Cup team. So there was some difference there, but I was there for a little bit of time. I think I played about 15 games, and I cut my ankle there, my peroneal tendon, and my season was done, and the end was there with the Leafs.
Well, I mean, you said you want to be a Hawk for life, and I think now that your historic Coyotes career is over, I think everybody's going to remember you as a Blackhawk from now on. So that's for sure.
Yeah. So I know all my years, my best years were with the Hawks. I'll always my heart's always in Chicago, and I always love Chicago.
Yeah, we definitely wish you would have been on a part of the team going forward too. And it's just unfortunate how that had to happen. But I mean, thank you for all those years that you gave us. That was absolutely unreal.
Yeah, thank you for being fans. Like, I think Chicago has the best fan base in the league. I just remember going from every city to city to whenever we played, and there were Chicago fans everywhere. So I was just glad I was drafted by Chicago. I know when I was getting drafted, they had me projected in the first round around 20 to 30. And at the time you kind of want to go first round and to be a first round pick, but now you kind of look back, and I'm kind of glad I went second round and went 32nd overall, because the Hawks weren't that well. They're transitioning to be a better team, and they're looking for players, and being that top pick in the second round kind of helped me get to the NHL quicker and play for the Hawks.
Yeah. I think we're all thankful of that too. I mean, the convention list just came out, says that you're going to be there. I mean, are you excited to be back at the convention, see all the guys again?
Yeah, I can't wait to be back. It'll be fun. I haven't been there in a few years, and it's always a blast going to the convention and seeing the fans and taking pictures and signing autographs and doing the Q&A with everybody. So I'm pretty jacked for it. It'll be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting for sure to see you with the Blackhawk fans again. Your contract officially expired with the Coyotes. Any plans for after career that you started to kind of think about, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what the plans are. So I'll keep hanging out right now and searching around, and I'm not too sure. So right now it's just enjoying my life and traveling and having some fun and playing a lot of golf and maybe get back to work soon.
Well, if you ever want to chat a little bit more on here, we're more than happy to have you. We'll tell some stories or something. Just have a good time.
Yeah. Let me know when. I'm always glad to help.
We've got a men's league team that's usually missing a couple of guys per game, so we'll give you a ring too.
Yeah, let me know about that.
Awesome. Well, David, like I said, we cannot thank you enough for taking the time to talk and to answer, some questions that I'm sure that you've answered about 1,003 times already. So,
yeah, it's all good. Anything for Chicago fans. So I've always I love Chicago, and any way I can help out in Chicago is what I want.
Well, we appreciate it. We appreciate everything that you did for the Blackhawk organization. You were always one of the favorite Blackhawks that we got to cheer on. So thank
awesome
you again. And
thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. Have a good one, eh?
Hey, you too.
Awesome.
See you at the convention. I love you.
Yeah. See you guys.